Hello, this is Gerald van Was. What I will do from now on in my videos is provide an introduction. The few times when I missed the introduction didn't want to have another repetition of an introduction of the method that I'm going to explain with some demonstration. This gave some people the opportunity also to make a little bit a fool of what I was doing, because it was incomprehensible if you don't know what my perspective is. And even though I say, okay, this is the method here at the right, a method which, by the way, I worked quite a lot of time on it beforehand, before I was sure that it worked in every sense of how it could be applied. It becomes, if I avoid the explanation how the foundation is, and I just give a demonstration, of course the educational level, which isn't so well worked out yet, still can miss the point of bringing it over. So in this case it also means that I still have to work on the demonstrative practical aspect of the theory. The theory itself is not, it doesn't have to be proven again, because I tested it in many ways. You can read the book, see it also from the different perspectives, and see how it is tested. Actually, the book is only about the testing of the theory. Here is the practical part, and even if I have a very simple word like I always have to give an introduction. That's what I'm going to do. And for that, I didn't want to repeat myself. I will also change the perspective of the resume of the full theory. The full theory is about that letters have meaningfulness, idea behind it, that we use actually the perspective of focuses, of distinctions, and we can only have a certain amount of distinctions, and if we put all the distinctions next to each other, we have a certain order which we can build up. A numerical order it has underneath it, a geometrical method is underneath it, so it's built up in various ways how we use it. There's a certainty principle in it also. It's built up in many ways, and you have to learn it to see it from different angles. That's why I do not change it into a 100% rational method, because it also needs your intelligence to see the different angles, see what dominates at that part in your focus, and from there you can build on further. And that needs experience, and that's why I need to give you demonstrations, and sometimes also explained in different ways. And I will change again the perspective here on the right. I do that now and then, and maybe this will give it a more profound foundation, a starting point where you immediately see what it is about. It might be a little bit too varied, and without reading everything which is there, which a lot of people will not do. They immediately comment on what I'm saying, so without looking very closely on what's behind it, or listen a couple of times to several videos, they won't have that discipline. They immediately shout at what I'm doing if it's not immediately clear in an educational way. So I will have to work on my educational level as well. So I will redo the perspective. The perspective will be demonstrated as this, and I will explain what's there. And our main focus also, where we start from the focuses itself, because that's the basis of why letters are meaningful. They are also in frequencies, in the levels of frequencies. You can all recognize these from 1, 2, 3 megahertz frequencies, how we hear them, how they evolve, or are there really points that we hear in at one moment. They all count to make ourselves associate things from there. It's an association field which corresponds with the field of orientation on space and time. There's a whole system behind it. It's not something that is laughable or that he has to ridicule because it's new and you don't understand it immediately. So I hope I can keep off the rude persons for this. So let's have the perspective first, what I'm talking about, before I explain the next demonstration. Focuses are they start from on things that are nearby into one point. So it's like you have one eye, you don't move it, and you go and look at fixed points is the starting point. Timing is possible, but it's not involved when we use fixed points. But we have three different kinds of focuses with three different kinds of thought processes, and they are all related with letters in the numerical order, of which is the Pythagorean order. We can have all the letters organized in it. Not only in this numerical order, 9 numbers are corresponding to that, 9 positions are corresponding to that, and also 3 variations on that point. There's only one certainty point in the middle there, and as you start there in ATK, you see only one certain point where we start from, which is the point of T, the localization. And it's preceded by an uncertainty, so we get to know what's going on. T is number 1, that we realize what's going on, where we are, and the K is again, we lose our perspective again, so that it's no longer 1, it's already a little bit more than 1, and we come to number 2. In the number 2, we take what we learned, so we learned that there are uncertainty points, so we keep that uncertainty, but we choose a certainty point as well. So we have 2 points, or we come to 2 points, a certainty point and an uncertain point, where we will follow the dominating certain point in L, and so on and so on. It's a whole system, which is a system of logic, and we follow that logic because it's about focuses. It's like we have a fixed focus and we have a relative focus, and when we deal with more and more relative focuses, we deal with 1, 2 or 3 points, as you see underneath. If this is also not clear enough anymore in using fixed points with some uncertainties involved in it, we have to see, like, okay, where is it going to? So maybe it's already evolving to something else. If there's more complexity in it, we follow the directions, and that's the next level. A direction uses 2 focuses, one focus to another focus, from my opinion to your opinion. We need time for it, so you need 2 focus. Again, if you have these directions, if you follow these directions, you follow the directions as they are presented here from space first, then within that timing frame from one point to another, which is basically not just using time, it's also using a place and placement that moves to another place. So it moves to another place thanks to timing. Timing gets involved in that second level, O, E, and Z, and W, and the last category, we are really focusing upon directions. If you use these 1, 2 focuses, it's somewhere in between. We also have relative positions of where they are a little bit further away, but in G, F, and P we can still figure out a horizontal, vertical, and diagonal. The last positions, as you can see them in 3 positions, we use 3 positions to figure out a certain behavior. So that means it's not fixed in space, it's not fixed, there's no fixed time moment where we can go to or can plan something to, but there is a whole behavior, and this whole behavior makes its own context, is context based, so that we can have a full behavior, which we follow again with different letters, again from space to timing to a context again, and we even reinvent the context or reorganize the context with the last couple of letters. That's basically the full theory. Nothing more than that. It is based upon a logical principle. It's not nonsense, but I have to go and start from this. Why should I repeat that the whole time? To avoid the rude voices. It's a bit annoying for me, but I will do that once more. I'm not sure how many times I have to repeat it. Maybe this scheme, just how you see it, is enough. But that's what I have to do to avoid these voices, which are always too loud. If they're primitive, they're loud as well. And sometimes it's because of me, because I didn't have the educational foundations presented first to before I say, okay, but here is you can have an application in it. You have to apply something somewhere and not into the unknown, because that of course allows all the dark things to appear there, and I will have to avoid these. My educational foundations should be there as well. But as you see, I lost 11 minutes already, just because I need to give you the foundation again and again before I can demonstrate something. Okay, now the demonstration. The two eyes in between the middle eye, let's say, here a bit, but these two eyes are a representation of, this is about timing, a bit away from within a certain context, is a bit away from the spatial reference. Spatial reference, of course, we have a tendency to, if we want to go to fixed point, to see things before us first, but of course space is anywhere, time can be anywhere, context can be anywhere, but you need 1 point, 2 points, or 3 points of organization for that. I hope this is clear enough. Then we can go to neck. Two positions here, it's my position or your position, are needed when we time certain things, of course. But we can have, of course, a middle position as well, that we organize it, something from a general view, and then we can say, okay, this is my view, and I have my viewpoint and your viewpoint, that I, even from a neutral point of vision, I can look at. These are helping tools, but they can fit within that organization field. That's what I will do. I'll have the different viewpoints that will fit with all the letters that have these kinds of organizations, in points, in directions, or in the 1, 2, 3 rule of what's the rhythm in there, what kind of rhythm do I have here, that it can be repeated, that some behavior can be repeated within a certain context, so that I can find the general context as well here from my general position. So let's see, from all three positions that I can have, from the general position, from my position, and someone else's position, what is really the demonstration for neck. Let's go and find out how it is readable in the letters. The letters are meaningful, and they're all the meanings are inside the words and in the letter combination. Why is this so? Okay, I can't demonstrate everything, why this is so, why this works, but it is because we use our distinctions, of course, and that's what I will tell you in this case. So N, what is it? In the vertical sense, it is moving away from space, as you can see there in blue at the N. So it's moving away from space. So from my position, it's there from where I can use it, also to time something, so that movements, changes can happen from that vision alone from the N. And that's on a person. It's demonstrated at that point, or in the general position, also there, or in the last position. The E to it means, okay, let's indeed use it for a timed process in a certain context, of course, that will be possible, or from a general position here, I will be able to demonstrate it. It's there in the middle, so you have it in between a certain timings. It's in there in the middle. It will focus upon, I'm just using the logic, the intelligence of the letters, of the positions. I use it to find that where that highlight is, where I can see what is going to be able to be changed there, and that's the way of thinking what you can use with the letter E. So it's a universal principle because of the position within that system of order, and that order is used. Why is it so? Ask me if you want more. There must more explanations about certain aspects, but don't shout at me, please. After N and E, of course, we have to go to C. What is C? If you see it in the system, it's about positions. Positions you want to have as fixed points. Of course, we continue where we are. We are in the N and the E. Now we have to have the C. What kind of point is the C? There is a point which deals with a certainty point, or the most certain points, and actually two uncertain points. So we deal with 3 points, so all 3 options in a way. So we try to have the most strong focus upon actually a variety of focuses. So we're losing a little bit of focus, but we're trying to have a fixed point where it all starts, where all the changes and so on start, where we have, where we can start the context also from, which is also with the C, where within the positions, and the third level is it's always a little bit already about context, or you can add the context actually, but you can start from to concentrate with the C at that point and start from there. What can we do with it? There's some variations of where I can have my focus, or where I can have my middle point. The middle point, these are the first 9 letters. It's always about, I try to have a middle point, and it's becoming in the last category or the third category. It's always already a little bit losing it already. The last category is always losing it a little bit. Can I still keep my focus? Let's try it. We have it there at that point. Helpful tools also is that with underneath the points, there are also let's say helping tools of lines, not yet directions, lines that have that tendency in the background of horizontal, vertical, diagonal. When we are using points, of course, these are minor importance. They're much more important if we need directions, because then we have to follow horizontal, vertical, diagonal. Here they are in the background. In ATK as well, they are there as well. A is, it starts from something which keeps it horizontal. In T, you have an extra line. You have the line of the vertical. Together, if you use horizontal of A and T, the vertical, you can have the point of a position, which is demonstrating again what T is associated, how we associate T, how we can have a logic with T, because it starts from a clear position. In A, it's just starting to appear. It's a learning. It's still from a learning process. It's a starting point, but it's a starting point which is in a learning condition. T, you have something which is certain, like with the T. What is the K then? Of course, it's related with diagonal. In diagonal, the T is quite easily associated with like that. I explained you why. The K is demonstrated mostly by this breaking point. And it's also because this numerical system is behind it. In T we come to 1 point. In A we are starting to find the foundations for a 1 point. So from 0 to 1 is also on that horizontal plane. And the T we have there as well. But the K is more than 1. It's splitting into 2. But it's not yet 2. We have 1 focus, but you have the danger that it's splitting. This is a breaking point, and that demonstrates it quite well in that way. So we have to have a breaking point, and that's where we have to deal with. And okay, let's show you where it is in the neck point, that from where the position of C. What do we have then as with the extra K, and what do you have as an end result? The position we found with N and E, we have that position where you can see the demonstration of K. You see that already, that point, which is, yeah, having a little bit of doubt, where can this lead to, where can this point lead to, and it will make it not just the position and the viewpoint, the viewpoint as from C, it's also a breaking point, and that is really a very good description of that word neck. I still wrote something down there which I forgot to explain, that where it detaches itself to be used elsewhere is might not be clear yet. The first couple of letters, all the foundations of all our focuses are actually within the spatial boundaries of fixed points. If we move outside that area, usually it are the 9 first letters, if we really go away from that center, we also go away from our own body, actually, the body foundations with the fixed points, and use it actually to go beyond the fixed points with movement towards the environment and so on. The N already moves away within, actually still within what is still our space. The E is really outside that area of fixed points. Although the neck seems to be a fixed point, it's also used actually with a C. It's still again fixed. There's a fixed point there, but with the E involved, it also says, okay, but it has the possibilities, okay, that you have a certain movement or change involved, and the neck is has this ability to demonstrate the ability of change. N usually is something that we have a physical foundation, but it has a possibility to use it into a timed frame. That's how we have to associate, and it gives it a content that we can use for a change, for changing positions. N is that point where we can have changing positions, and it is used as a point still with options, and also used as a breaking point. It's also a breaking point within from the body to the head then bringing us to other contexts, actually, not the body itself, but the head and the body. We usually also use that as a breaking point, but not that it matters, but it is all things that can be associated from the positions of the letters, and from the letters, how we associate the letters. They position themselves within certain possibilities. Are they only used fixed points? We only use the first 9 letters. If it's involved with possibilities to go beyond that, we need the next couple of letters that are associated with it. How does it come that we associate these things with other things like timing, changes, and so on? It's because also, for instance, I just give one example, O, A, need time to get aware of it. You see it move somewhere, it is moving somewhere, you need time for it. It's in that region of change, like t, k, a, are really in one moment they are there, so they are can also be derived to fixed points. That's that logic behind it. So before making any comments that I'm just using fill-ups or blah blah or whatever things that are coming to your mind, it's your problem that you think these things. It's a logical system. If you don't see it, sorry, just admit that you don't see it, that you don't understand it. It's actually not that difficult. Maybe my explanations could be better. I'm still learning these things. Allow me to learn these things so that I can demonstrate them well to you. That might also take some time, so please give me that time. It's a harsh mentality that is there in the world. I don't like it, but it's there. Sometimes it also comes to my neck. Here's Nick for you. I hope this demonstration was a bit more clear. And visit me some other time if some videos are less clear. Tell me in a polite way, please. And I might even redo that but I have to check also what is missing. That because it's mostly the educational, practical level that I'm still learning, of course, in that area. So allow me to build that up, and I can only build that up by try and error and have a bit more practice in this. Demonstrating it to you. I give that to you freely and without any attachments. So use that in that way and judge it in that way also, please. Thank you. I'll see you next time. Bye.